Hello, everyone, and welcome out to The Good, the Bad, and the Geeky, a podcast where I talk a bunch of geeky stuff. Some of it good, some of it bad, but all of it definitely geeky. Today on the show we have...
Diantha Dorfin Brand.
DJ Meat, Nathan Haley.
And...
Jessica Gibson.
Okay, what the fuck just happened?
She's like, I don't have a cool name.
Oh, is that what happened?
My name's cool enough by itself.
I don't need any.
Fair enough. Okay, so we're gonna... Jesus Christ.
Blasphemy.
I'm Nick Nitro. I try. I don't even go by that name as much anymore. It's a branding thing. But
They'll get it.
No, I know.
There's gotta be one kid out there that's like, yes.
So, just a little FYI that we're part of the IBD network. From the minds of Nikki tells you how to live your life. Nikki Smith and It's All But Unreal Hours. Jerome Wetzel comes a new weekly photo comic called Life's Gummy. See what they did there? Every Saturday, read a new strip at IBDpresents.com. Follow the tribe of gummy bears on their adventures as they navigate the jungle of living rooms. Seek out the wise elders at the top of a couch. And silence you. I lost my place. And forage for food on a messy desk. All of our programming can be found at IBDpresents.com. And please support us, even if it's just $1 donation at patreon.com/IABD. And we are also sponsored by Audible.
Yeah!
Get your free audiobook by signing up at audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky with over 200,000 titles to choose from.
Oh, I want that.
You can get cool books like The Disaster Artist, Bossy Pants by Tina Fey.
The Golden Compass?
The Golden Compass. You know,
by Phil Pullman.
That just unlocked a whole stream of memories in my brain. And you know what? No, I won't.
Maybe we'll talk about it.
I won't dwell on those. I won't. That was good. I'm not gonna dwell on the Golden Compass right now.
Don't dwell, boy.
Okay.
Because we're gonna
talk about Hellboy.
Hey.
And you know what? I'm sure they probably have an audiobook of Hellboy somewhere on Audible. So go to audibletrial.com. They might have a novelization. goddammit. audibletrial.com/goodbadgeeky. Get your free audiobook. God damn it, Jess.
Sorry.
You must navigate.
Navigate.
I need you to navigate.
No, you say navigate.
I sense some sabotage.
Sabotage. So what we're going to talk about Hellboy. Before we do you guys have anything what are you guys up to? If you have anything to plug, you would like to plug here on the show?
I'm going to be in Mad Lab's Theater Roulette in May.
Yeah.
It's a shorts festival, live performance, 3 nights, different plays. I think there's 22 shorts in total.
Sure.
Come every night, you'll see something else.
I'm directing one of them and I don't even know, so, you know.
And, you know, if you don't like the first play, stick around 10 minutes. There'll be something else to watch.
Oh.
Wow. So,
wow.
That's through the month of May. Go to madlab.net for tickets.
And don't you do some other podcasts too?
Sure. I show up on Amanda's Picture Show a Go-Go.
That's right. What's the website? AmandaAgogo.com?
Yeah, I believe it's AmandaAgogo.com.
Okay. My phone's losing charge, so I'm going to have to plug that in soon. But no, I don't have anything else going on.
I wanted to laugh, but I was just like, can I just hold on to this weird look I'm giving her? And then that's when she's like, no, I have nothing. And that's when I was like, it worked. Fist bump. That was good. That was good.
So the book club. Do you plug that, though? Samantha's book
Quarterly
club?
book club, sure.
She's got a book club.
Mm-hmm.
They do it's a video.
I read.
Right? Well,
oh my God, she's just like me.
Oh my God.
She's so human. She's so relatable right now.
You should tell us later if you read the comics to Hellboy. I'm interested to know if you read the comics.
Did you know I've read the comics to Hellboy?
I didn't know that.
Oh.
Well, I guess we'll find out.
Yeah, I guess we'll find out later.
No,
Spoiler.
Sometimes I do the quarterly book club, and
you read too?
This
God,
quarter,
so
I know it's surprising.
April, May, and June, like this year's teenage genre is what's going on.
Young writers or young adult.
Mutant.
But this quarter, it is Looking for Alaska by John Green.
Ooh. Not a fan of John Green?
I'm not a fan of stuff where teenagers talk like they're not teenagers. Like his stuff, they always talk like they're
I've listened to the audio,
a lot
audio
smarter
book,
and wittier than they actually are. I'm like, no one talks like that. That's why I didn't like Juno either. I'm like, no one talks like that.
I mean,
But they do get knocked up on chairs.
But that's a me personal thing that I don't.
Sure, no, fair enough.
I don't like.
I get it. Yeah.
And I've watched a couple of the movies based on his books. I'm like, no one talks like that.
Nobody talks like that.
Nobody talks like that. Nobody at all. Are you going to wear that headdress? Because if not, I'm going, because we're going on a hunt.
Oh my god, I love hunts.
Well, with that's the clue that we're going to talk about Hellboy. So we're going to roll the theme music, and we'll be back right after this to talk Hellboy 2019.
Hell yeah.
We'll start off the episode actually going, what did everyone think of the Ecto Cooler?
It was the greenest thing I ever tasted.
Well, that's high marks. Oh, nothing about good taste.
I see.
Tastes like
indeed.
icy.
Yeah, it does.
Well,
I'd say it tastes like medium C.
Citrus
I didn't really
drink.
taste such a high. It tasted like a
just
medium.
C4.
Just like,
That's what it sounds
I just
like.
got
What
it.
tastes like citrus
Did
drink.
you get it?
Citrus? Yeah, I did. Thank you.
No, you get C4 is middle C, but like I
Here's the
thought-
thing. It's like when I watch Futurama and I hear a math term like compound and whatever, and I go,
Ooh, yeah.
that's a math joke. I don't get it, but I know it's math joke, so then thus it's funny. So like C4, I was like, oh, it must be a music joke. So, oh, that is kind of funny, I guess. And that is how that just happened in my brain.
And not the poison gas.
I didn't hear you.
Not the person.
Well, no, she brought it up.
I didn't
I
hear
just
you.
concur.
All right, so
All right.
with the high C being moderately okay, tasting like high C, what did everyone? We'll start from left to right around the table. What did everyone think of Hellboy?
Good, that gives me time.
I mean, I wasn't bored. I had a good time watching it. There were things that I did not like that we will go more in depth on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, right.
Right?
Nathan,
Okay.
quick hits, buddy.
Quick hits. Don't go into it with any thought of the first two. If you go into it thinking about the first two, it's just going to upset you. Try to erase them out of your mind.
Which is hard because they're good.
I mean, which is very difficult because I just kept sitting there like, okay. Love the music.
He did. He
So,
did.
I can't say enough of good things, but well, I mean, we can get to that.
Yeah.
But as far as in the beginning of this, I'll stop it there. Just erase the first two and just go into it as new as you can.
All right, D, what do you think?
I was oddly pleased. I did read the comics when I was squirt, so it actually
When I was a low C.
when I was
When I was a low
25.
C.
yeah, it did justice to the comics because that was actually this movie was in a lot more of the spirit of the comics themselves, and that I can appreciate, especially and anyone who's a gore hound is gonna like it. Anyone who's a fan of Sam Raimi's work is probably gonna like it.
That's true. Okay, yeah.
But I really, really enjoyed whatever his name is, David Harbour.
Yeah.
Is that right? Yeah, I thought his performance was awesome. He really was Hellboy.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciated that. I think the most was the comic reality of it.
I went in with low expectations. Well, initially, when we all signed up for this, my expectations were a little bit higher. and then the reviews started coming out, and they were not good. And then Rotten Tomatoes came out, and I didn't see it opening day. Like, the day of the movie opening, it's like Rotten Tomatoes gives it 23, 24, 65, and then just drops down to 9. I was like,
Oh, it wasn't like that. That's
they
unfair.
showed the video of it's like the hell because every time they do a big movie like this, they do a rating where they
No, I
they
meant
fake
I
you
believe
out.
you that the
Oh.
rating was.
He watched it drop like Blockbuster's stock after Netflix came.
Boom.
Yeah,
And I was like, my first
doesn't
thought was like, well,
deserve
that's
9%.
that's cruel. Well, it's now up to 13, I think.
It
or
deserves
16.
more than 13.
And a half.
And a half. So now my point on that would be, I agree with that, and yet, actually, I agree with all of you. It's not good, but it's not horrible either. It's just meh. It's just okay. It's entertaining when you're watching, but if you think too much harder about it, and then and that's all right. So I'll just open it up.
Good podcast. Good podcast. Good podcast.
All right,
everybody, we nailed it.
All right, everybody. All right. We're going to take a break, and then we'll regroup. No, I'll open it up to whatever anyone wants to talk about this point for this, because there's a lot to unpack in this movie.
Can we talk about computer graphics creatures?
If you would like. This is a turn.
Apparently, this is your day, so.
This is a turn I wasn't expecting. Please go on.
Which ones?
Oh yeah, that's a good point.
So half the time they were horrible, and I realized they didn't have the highest budget that they were wanting for this movie. I think it took them. It even took them a while to try to even conceive of doing Hellboy 3 with Del Toro, but that obviously never happened. But I know
She brought up what you brought up.
I know.
What we're saying is she knows her shit, people.
But when you make, in general, when you are trying to adapt fantasy out of like a comic book or out of a book, there's really no point in making it into a movie unless you're gonna bridge that gap from it being fantasy to it being tangible. So with creature movies, they have to be so careful with computer graphics because they look bad, and otherwise there's a disconnect. And that's why movies like Alien were so great, because there's actually something in the room for them to touch and interact with, and you kind of feel it in the film as well. Some of the monsters were good, like Baba Yaga was really
but she's
really good.
I think she's practical effects.
Yes, and you can tell at the
Yeah.
end. There's just so much more of a.
Was it a girl voice and a guy body, or did that guy just do it all?
It in the IMBD credits, it just has that guy listed.
He
But
fooled everyone.
yeah, right. But I
Were
liked
amazing.
I liked the monsters at the end. I really liked them, and they were all computer
Oh,
animated.
when they're like rising, yeah.
Yeah, I thought they were really cool, and it made me think of, because if you've ever seen Attack on Titan, it was like, this is what I want from a live-action Attack on Titan, which there is a live-action Attack on Titan, and it's terrible, and the monsters look like shit, but I was like, this is what I want if it ever gets made better.
Maybe it was Baba Yaga's tits that Hellboy's dad was talking about.
It could have been, because a certain, yeah.
Oh, I thought I thought he was talking about was it Mila? What's her name?
He
Mila
was.
Jovovich.
I was
Mila.
making a joke
Yeah.
because Baba Yagas were clearly better.
For a person that was at least 350.
Except they were
mean,
like
they-
this.
Yeah, they just, it's like, whew. It's like a balloon just with
Like old lady
water.
boobs,
Yeah.
but just out. But yeah, I liked the CG at the end, but like the vampire bat thing he was fighting at the beginning didn't look good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And some of the creatures look stupid.
Even the extraction from the blood I'm just like, I'm watching Mila just like, and I'm like, that is very interesting blood. It's not hard to do that. They've been doing that for decades. Why is it so hard with this movie? Because then they show her hand and it's like, that's a lot of oxidation or oxidate, whatever the word is I'm trying to say, because the color really, really changed a lot. And I'm just like, interesting.
Well, in terms of continuity, that was a whole other thing. Like when what's his name, the guy from Lost.
Oxidized!
Yeah,
Oxy-
Daniel
yeah,
Day
sorry.
Kim.
Yeah, who I like, and I like that he's in a movie like this size. It's sad that it's this movie because it's not going to do well. I liked the twist of like in the final battle, like he took his shirt off and he started unbuckling his pants when he was transforming. I'm like, so it makes sense that he has no clothes on. But then in the end, when they're playing badass rock
It
song,
was
cut
he
off
only
the
did it
horn.
once. In the 3 transformations, he only took his clothes off once.
Well,
Yeah,
no, right.
but when he transforms back, because I noticed it, his pants are on.
Right.
And I was like,
And
wait
that-
a minute. And then at
Every
the end,
single-
At least the Hulk.
Yeah.
They all do that.
Well, maybe-
the Suicide Squad was the worst one, where the Latino Inferno was like, "Hey, I'm 5'4", now I'm 20'6", and I am gigantic, and I am on fire. But I'm going to return back to my little self, and my clothes are going to be right there, fine." Sorry.
Well, maybe Ben.
I just did. I can't stand transformations that aren't realistic afterwards.
Well, maybe Ben borrowed his clothes from Superman, who doesn't seem to have his clothes burn up when he leaves the atmosphere.
he has special alien clothes.
That's true.
From
So
Krypton.
I'm so embarrassed for you.
I'm just.
No
But
clue.
yeah, and at the end, that end scene where they're all a cohesive unit finally. And he
Finally.
transforms with his
Yeah,
clothes on.
My
I was
favorite
like,
was
wait.
the fire extinguisher that they were like, we should probably cut and do this scene again, but there's so much in it, we're going to have to keep going. Because did you notice his face? He's like, and then
Well, actually,
he just like, then he just opened his like. He's like, uh-oh. Well, it's there. You gotta...
I thought it was because it was like a pipe that was busting and he was walking through it and it was like freezing his face. As he was
It just didn't seem natural. It seemed like
did not seem natural at all. No, it was, yeah. Like, also, it really bugged me, and you...
It really bothered me. It really bothered me, when the monsters just showed up on the hill.
It really
who
did.
just popped out of fucking nowhere?
Yeah.
And she's like, they came from the dark, and I was like, did they?
Actually, was that
Because
one?
there's no separation between those rocks. They're just there.
They came from her butt.
It was cold in the theater, so I covered up, and I looked like I
kept thinking you were asleep.
No, right. And I thought
First your head would be like this. Which the audience can't see, so Nick's head's to the left. Then his head's to the right.
Right.
Then it's down the middle, up. Then it's like back. Like, it made like this weird rotation. It was like, I'm awake, but I've never seen you watch a movie like that.
No,
that must have just been like your
just
interesting
kind of like
face.
it was like, okay, this is happening,
and
this is happening. But no, I think I groaned, and that's where you're like, are you awake? Like, are you awake right now? I was like, yeah, I'm awake. I've been awake
I've
the
fallen
whole
asleep during a
time.
movie. That's what.
Well, I have too, but it's usually during not like movies that I don't care for or that I'm just really tired. No, I have tried watching
Foreshadowing.
Scepter. Well, the last James Bond movie they did, the one where it wrapped
Spectre,
everything.
which is boring as...
Oh my god! Okay, I watched that 2 times in theaters, and each time I fell asleep.
Why did you waste your money?
Well, the first time it's like because the last 2 were good, and then the last one was good, and so I was like, okay, I'll give it a shot. The opening was amazing. And after that, it just went downhill, and then I just woke up and the dude.
It's like when you have a hot stove and you go like this, and you're like, no, wait a second.
yeah. Did I burn
Or like,
myself?
or like
hot.
when you take that first bite of something that you.
No, but here's the thing.
Hold on.
Also, the first time I saw it, I
Yeah.
was working the midnight shift, I think, at Children's.
yeah.
So it was also like, I'm really tired. I'm trying to watch this movie. I'm going to fall asleep because I'm exhausted. And so then I watched it a second time, and I fell asleep. And I was totally awake, fell asleep because I was bored. And I remember it was on the background on cable or something. I was like, wait a minute, they went to like a mountain with ice? I don't remember that at all in the movie. And it was like, yeah, so it was like watching the movie. Oh, yeah, so the first time I watched it, like, what's his name from Django Unchained and Inglourious Bastards? Christoph or whatever.
Christoph Waltz.
Yeah, Christoph Waltz. Great actor.
Is that the guy that speaks French, German, and English?
Yes.
That guy was amazing.
Yeah, he's the bad guy in Spectre, but like he doesn't show up until like maybe the last 30 minutes of the movie. Like I literally they did the Day of the Dead thing, and then I woke up and there he is talking to Bond. I'm like, what did I miss? And they were like, you've been asleep for almost the entire movie. I was like,
I'm not gonna lie, I blacked out. I was just like,
yeah.
what? And I watched the whole thing.
Well, no, it was so,
Awake.
Yeah. So I wasn't falling asleep, but there was moments where I was just like, oh, are you kidding me? Like, and I think the part that I actually verbally sighed out loud was when the monsters just appeared. I was like, come on. And you're like, you're awake? I was like, yes. Yes, I am. Because that for some reason really irked the shit out of me. Like, where did they come from? You're on top of a fucking hill. It wasn't gray out a second ago. You're going to see big fucking giants and monsters crawling up. Yeah, I'm just sorry.
Well, they were there the whole time. They just appear when you believe.
When they sense dark magic.
To do a Nathan on that one, I'm like, closing my eyes and just like,
So
this is a bullshit answer. But you're not wrong.
I said
is
it ironically.
Hellboy holy?
No. Well,
Guys, I
What is
could
your
not get
definition of
past.
hell?
His name is Hellboy, and he was birthed in hell. So what I'm confused by is how he opens the last chest. I'm so confused because a curse was put on it that only person of high holy regards could unlock. And how I understand it. Again, basing it off of the first 2 movies, I understand. I keep doing it with my left arm. His right arm is a key, if I'm understanding. And again, basing it off of the first 2 movies. And I didn't know if it's because it's a key to something that he's just able to be like, I can do anything with my hand.
I thought since it already showed the Warthog dude unlocking the one chest, and it hurts him to touch it if he doesn't unlock it, that he had already unlocked it. And he was just bringing it out
It was so
by
wrapped
the
in
time they
chains.
found him.
Well, actually,
And then
the lead that's on the chest hurts him, so he shouldn't even be able to pick it up. But then he was picking it up the next time, which that's and understandably, because I was with you, you groaned. You were like, "How is he picking up? I don't know. And
But then
thought
I didn't
he
know if he
just
still
kept
had
the vocal cords. Yeah,
I didn't know
'cause
if
he
he still
didn't-
had the vocal cords in its mouth, and somehow he could. I mean, because
Yeah, he never spit them out or anything.
I just figured he did it and swallowed because you can't have that in your own esophagus and breathe. But then
Well-
again, magic. And they
He's a
kept calling him a
changeling.
pig, and pig don't have tusks. Boars have tusks.
okay, so I'm confused
right?
on that part.
Isn't it a
too.
boar?
It's a changeling, but its final form is a boar, but it was changing into. I guess that part. eluded
Yeah,
me a
was
bit,
that
too.
is that like in order to become human, you have to
change into something else and it take its place for like years or something?
Yeah, I don't know.
That kind of irked me too, because I was like, this feels like a very simple answer that the movie could answer, and they don't answer it, and it's kind of confusing.
Yeah, I don't know the lore for changelings. I know.
Well, hey, you're
Damn
the
it, I
comic
should have
one.
looked
You're
them
the
up.
comic nerd on this one. Was there a change?
Well,
the
those are-
boar was in that storyline, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Or a storyline.
Yes.
I loved the voice of
I thought it was-
Rocksteady or Bebop.
That would be Bebop. Rocksteady is the rhino.
Okay.
Gray like a rock.
Because I kept thinking of Bebop the whole time. But the guy but I loved it'd be interesting, like, to play that for fun. Like, him or Hellboy would be, actually, him or Hellboy would be one of the two that I would, if I ever could, would like to play. Because because he was, like, angry, but then he could become sincere for just a moment. And then he dies in, like, one of the, like, a-hole-ish ways possible. It's like, he was just big. She took everything from him, and then she's just like...
Made him small, and until he
And
was
then
so
he's
small,
just like-
he just exploded of blood.
You and I had an agreement on the editing of the movie.
Yes. Nathan was mentioning last night when we were done, he's like, did it feel off to you? And I was like, yeah, it was. And the pacing is horrible. And pacing is...
To answer an earlier question,
Yes.
it is a female voice for Baba Yaga and a male
performer.
actor.
Okay. Cool.
But he still has nice breasts.
Bazoombas.
If you
Yaga
say so.
does.
Look at the bazoombas on that Sally.
But yeah,
The editing, yeah.
This.
Because I just sitting there, like,
Take it
again,
home, Justin,
trying to
take it
think
home.
of it as, as a new movie. Plus, Nick saying that this one was supposed to follow the comics more. So I'm like, I'm not going to sit here and judge because I'm a respectful person and I don't do that.
He winked everybody.
He winked.
I winked everyone
He's
because
a liar.
Yeah, I almost didn't see the movie because I didn't like how the trailer just kept showing off the muscularity of Hellboy, and I'm like, okay,
Well, no, those trailers were horrible, too.
yeah, because when he has his full horns, you notice that he has more definition in his entire body, and I'm just like, if this is what the whole movie's just going to be, then I'm done. But anyway, I was like, if this is how the comic reads, I don't know how people can read it and enjoy it, because I'm like, I could not stand. I just did not like the editing. But Nick was saying that was a big thing that a lot of people disagreed with.
Yeah, it is.
Or agreed with the poor editing aspect.
It is very much the pacing of the comics. Oh, what's his name? Mignola, the guy who wrote it.
Oh, Mike Mignola.
Yeah,
Tony Barola.
and he jumped around a lot in content in the comics, and it's
Like in
very
terms of timeline.
yeah, and it's a very very choppy read, and I think maybe it lends itself better to comic books than maybe to movies, but it is very much in the similar pacing as the comic books. And I think that's where a lot of a lot of controversy has been about
things that happened that I thought should have happened either earlier or later. Like, for example, when he's doing his exposition at the beginning, which I actually enjoyed because it was funny to listen to Ian McShane, like, modern explain this thing about King Arthur, and he's like, and then the demon was pissed, and she set a goddamn plague all over the earth.
Yeah.
And that just really made me laugh. But I thought later, when they were like, also, guess who else is in a fucking box for all eternity? Merlin. I was like, what? Why didn't you tell me that at the beginning? Like, I thought it would have fit in a lot better with, oh, they did this and fucked up, and Merlin, as punishment for letting Arthur break his faith, was put in this box. Also, coincidence, winky wink,
Yeah.
where he's just living all eternity in a fucking box.
I don't know why.
I don't know why
Nathan
this-
just raised his hand to talk.
Sorry,
It's
it's
an
cool.
open conversation, Nathan.
So at the end, they're on a big ass hill, right? Where did the three witches come from? Like, they were like, as soon as that last drop of
did
blood
not
went
love
in,
that either.
I just didn't, like, they were not out of breath. Did they fly up there? Like, how did they get there?
Yeah, I don't know if we're supposed to assume that everything felt her getting her power back, and they were like,
They just
well, I
made
know
their
where this
way.
bitch has to go.
Like, and why didn't they,
Back
like,
to
they
that
immortal
hill.
witches? Like, I know it's weird to say were they immortal witches like her, but that's a long time to live. Like,
Yeah.
where did they, like,
Can
Did
I
they
also
live
just
off
say,
tree? Did they live off fibrous roots? Did they live under? Like, where did they come from?
in terms of a great music cue, it's not an exact match for the name of the hill because it was like St. Portaby's Hill or
was
Portabil. What is it? Pendle Hill. They should have played Salisbury Hill by Peter Gabriel, and you could have even had Hellboy make a joke because apparently that's all he was in this movie was making with the quips.
Yeah.
He's a teenage boy, all right. God.
Well, okay, yes, but
Anybody else noticed that like it started to be in a competition with who could speak lower? The whole
what?
movie is like I can speak lower. No, I can't.
oh yeah, I guess so.
I am the man.
Are you talking like that on
And then you get
purpose?
to the end. Oh, Danny boy, the pipes are cold.
That was from the credit scene, by the way, for those who did not know that.
It's-
Which is actually a mildly entertaining scene. Oh, the huge highlight of the movie, but in terms of like just weird things that appeared, Thomas Hayden Church as Lobster
I
Johnson.
know!
We all like Nathan and I were both just like,
I know that guy.
Yeah,
I
me
like that
too.
guy.
yeah.
I was
I
like,
like him
wait,
as Sandman,
who is
but then
that
again, I don't
guy?
know the origin of the claw monster,
you
Crabman.
what?
I don't know because
Okay.
I have no
All I
fear of
remember
saying I
is
don't.
my father, you, and me. We saw Spider-Man 3.
No,
at the
I
midnight
said I don't
showing.
know him as Lobster Man.
No, I
know him as
understand that.
Sandman.
Right, but you're like, I liked him as Sandman, and that is the thing that made me trigger
Yeah,
and go.
I liked
no.
him as Sandman. I
You
didn't
said
like
you
how he
hated
acted
him.
as Sandman.
Oh, okay.
Because
Well,
that scene in the turbulent whatever made absolutely no sense. But him as the Sandman was neat, except the whole like, I've got to get this for my daughter, my daughter, my daughter, my daughter, my daughter. I don't have muscles, but I'm in between having them and not having them. Oh God, it's very strange for me. But
and by the way, I like to everyone to point out that he's talking about a Sandman in a movie where an alien symbiote is apparently okay, and a man web slinging around New York.
Oh God! This
See, I always think of him from George of the Jungle.
Oh,
Every time I see him, I'm like, George of the Jungle.
that's one of okay. So one of my favorite references of a Jay Ward pun is from George of the Jungle because it's a Jay Ward show. I found out years later, but it's the whole thing. It's like they looked upon monkey or gorilla mountain with awe, or awe, not that awe, the other awe. Oh, that's one of my favorite. Like, yeah, that was such a good movie. I actually rewatched it, and it's surprisingly it holds up for the most part. There's a few things that do not hold up well.
in George of the Jungle,
Yeah,
you mean like how he ran through jungle and extreme terrain with basketball shoes that have been proven like just to pop as soon as they step on something?
No.
That's
that didn't.
I
bother
thought
me.
that was interesting.
No, because
Not running shoes, because that's not going to
It's
do when you
clearly
run.
a comedy, so all common sense just makes.
I
it-
know, I'm aware.
Yeah. Oh. Are you? Because you're watching, you're like, this movie just loses it for me because of the shoes.
Everything else, the talking girl, everything else made sense.
Everything else made sense.
All of
Everything
it.
else was wonderful. No complaints.
So Hellboy.
Yeah.
How do we even get? How do we
So
install?
back
because
to
the lobster guy.
yeah.
Oh, lobster guy, Thomas Hayden Church.
You want to see the claw?
Do you want to see the claw?
And everyone's like, "Oh my god!" And I'm like, "It's just a little circle.
Well,
Calm yourself, guys."
Does
I
he
think-
turn into a lobster? So what is his
He
gift?
fries
What-
Nazis.
okay, so he literally is so.
It's like
how?
he was the Captain America of the BPRPD, and then the dude died. And his big thing was, like, yeah, if the Nazis are going to mark the Jews, I'm going to mark the Nazis or the bad guy. So
Yeah,
he takes a little
brother.
lobster claw.
Business is a booming.
So again, that is good writing, good acting, and just it was shot well. But like, there's other parts in the movie that are just not shot well at all.
Is
Like,
he an alien?
no,
Only because
no,
like
he's a ghost. He died.
when he was burning Nazis, he was already dead.
Okay, no.
Okay. What I'm wondering is how does he create a heat source that strong? If he is that not is
There's
that not
a
a
demon
viable
from
question?
hell in this.
Movie.
But we know how it was born. It makes sense. Mom mounted a
Okay, you're
demon,
just a,
and a baby
just
came.
a diet
we get
of
it.
pure spicy sausage.
But no, I don't. That's all. I didn't know if Christian Hayden Church or whatever was an alien, like, or he had like a cord. I don't know. I don't know if he had like a cord coming out.
Tommy.
don't
I
know.
call him Tommy. We're
the
close.
longest
close.
extension cord.
Look, I'll call Tommy up here in a second, and we'll get to the
Is it
bottom of
not a
this.
valid question?
It's not a valid question. because you're watching a movie called
No,
Hellboy.
but he like puts his hand on that, and
I
within
totally
seconds
get
he's
it,
got
Nathan.
a forever branded head. That is an extreme.
It also
heat
looks
source.
like he has like a weird padding thing right here that's probably sourcing.
That's what I was wondering. But in the time period, I'm just
They
wondering.
have the weird.
But again,
the
I know
Nazi.
science.
It's okay that the
I know
Nazis have the weird
science.
pseudoscience stuff up
I
there,
know.
summoning
Steampunk.
Hellboy.
I know.
Steampunk
with Rasputin.
With Rasputin.
with Rasputin.
Which, that annoyed me. That they didn't tell you it was fucking Rasputin until afterwards, and then it's like you should have fucking known. They're like,
Oh,
well, when
they said his full
Rasputin
name.
They
did,
did, yeah.
at the beginning, I didn't
When
think
he-
they did,
I
because
mean,
then
no,
at the
it
end
was
they were
subtle.
like, well, when Rasputin,
I
I
forget
was
his-
like,
Yeah,
what?
What's his first name? Rasputin.
Gregory.
Yep.
Or Gregori.
Gregori.
While there was talk, while they're saying we found somebody to summon Hellboy, he was given this. He was saying the spell while they were saying his name.
Yeah.
That was it. It was literally like one of those. We'll say it real
Oh.
quick and get it done.
Yeah, because I didn't
That was
hear
it.
his name. I just
Yeah, like,
heard,
well,
we
Rasputin
found a
done.
person to do this.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she's like, when Rasputin summoned you. I was like,
Now,
what?
since we're talking about him,
Who was also in the Golden Army?
Whoa.
Rasputin.
No, that's the first one.
He was also in the first one.
I don't.
Yeah, he
Is
wasn't
this
in the
supposed
second
to
one.
be the real Rasputin, or is this supposed to be a Rasputin, another guy with the same name?
No, I
I'm
think
gonna
it's
go
the
with
same
Rasputin.
one.
Because I'm
Rasputin.
pretty sure he died in the Neva.
Well, no, that was the whole point. Supposedly, is that they thought. the,
No, the real guy.
no, the real Gregori, that
Yeah, he
Tsar
was
Nicholas
killed.
and all those guys. In real life, he was killed, but supposedly he was a warlock, and that's because remember he
It
actually
took him a long
killed
time
him.
to die. Like
Yeah.
they poisoned him,
They
they shot
stabbed
him,
him,
they
and
stabbed
shot
him.
stabbed.
And then finally, I think they choked him to death
Yeah, and then he
on
then
the
was,
ice on the river, and then he fell into the
His
river.
cause
He's
of
like
death
Igor
was
the Carpathian.
his cause of death was like either like officially drowning or like exposure or something. I forget.
Yeah,
something had
something
nothing
nuts.
to do with any of the.
Of all this other shit we
Yeah.
did to him.
Yeah.
Womp.
So
I said Vigor. I
well,
meant Vigo.
now
Oh, Vigo.
they kind of
triggered.
covered, but they did kind of cover that in the first movie too. Like they.
Ghostbusters?
Haha, no, it's okay. The original Hellboy with Ron Perlman. They covered that I think with Rasputin. But my question was about Rasputin was, is that what everyone thinks is the guy at the end talking to Baba Yaga or whatever her name is
Like in the credits,
in the end credit scene where he's just like
where she's like, "I want his eye because she forgot about her midnight thing," and
and he's like, I'll give you the one thing you can't do, which is you can't die. And it sounds like
That's
a
gotta
Russian.
be Rasputin.
It sounded like a Russian Scottish voice.
Oh, Baba Yaga would be talking to Rasputin because they're both from the motherland.
Someone, me, did not know there was an end credit scene.
there are two.
Don't you know you always stay for the stingers?
You only stay for fucking Marvel movies.
Well,
Now apparently they're all doing it.
they are.
I stayed for the mid-credit scene, and then
You
I was
did.
like, okay.
No, I mean honestly, it was literally just her sitting at a table and her doing her weird like.
She
you guys
was
can't see
my
me, just
favorite.
bobbing back and
yeah,
forth.
it was very
When her
very
ass
consistent.
crawled out of her
Yeah.
bucket or whatever the hell she was in, we were
Yeah.
like, nope, unsubscribe. Hard pass. Hard pass.
Well, I also
She's like,
it really kind of irked me too. Like, it didn't. Okay, he ended up doing the right thing, I guess, to an extent. But like the fact that he
Swipe
was
right.
like Hellboy sat down was just like, "Sup, let's talk, let's have a conversation." And he's like, "Go ahead, eat." And then he's like, are these children's fingers or whatever, children's parts?" And he turns around and sees the children hanging up. I was like, now I feel like Hellboy
That's where Anastasia ended up.
would have.
shit.
Sadness.
well, Headboy was also like, I'm gonna need to walk out.
He did, but I felt
Bye.
like it took him an extra. I felt like it was too long of a dramatic pause, and maybe again that's an editing
Dramatic
problem. Pause. God bless this acting talent.
But yeah, you could just see him as like, are those children?
Oh no, yeah, and then but then he just kind of sat there.
She's
for
like,
a
yes,
second.
and it was like ice children soup. Like that's what it looked
It's like
like.
tomato bisque.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And she's like,
Yeah, and then she's like, here, try some, and he's
So
like,
those
fava
little
beans.
so were those little kid hands that she was snacking on like potato chips.
yeah,
yeah, earlier.
which now
Makes sense
makes
I thought it was
sense.
a monkey hand.
I thought it was monkey hands too, or like bird claws or something, like the web feet of a
Yeah,
bird.
they didn't look human from the angle.
Right, but now,
They seem kind of pointy.
Do you know what I appreciate about this Hellboy, though? Is that I think
That they stuck with it, even though
Well, I think we're getting into
Perseverance.
I think we're getting into a habit of kind of idealizing villains and the evil side, and they look glorious, and it's romantic to be dark. And what I liked about Hellboy is that when you really got a good look at the dark side, it's not good. There's no glory about it. It's disgusting. It's horrible. It's almost hard to stomach. That's what I appreciated about this movie.
I still don't like how the monsters killed the way the monsters killed the people, which Nick said, I guess, is as how it is in the comic. It just seemed really dark to me. You just go from like ha ha ha, and then all of a sudden, like this lady is walking down the street, and literally you see a monster just take her head and just rip it off.
I liked that scene.
Or like this monster's just walking down. It's got knives for legs, and it's just like stab, stab. Or this monster that has a hand in its balls is just like, hey,
ripped him right down.
And it's like,
it held the bottom part, and the two arms from the top came in and just.
And then it threw me off. I'm like, well, why can't that blood
asunder.
Look like the blood that was extracted? Like, how can this look real? I mean, look as real as it can, but then this be like naughty. Oh, sorry, I'm doing this, and it's this. Like not even close.
So I think the answer to that ultimately is that those are the money shots that could be used in the trailer.
Yeah,
they're not going to use that in the trailer of her getting her blood back because that's.
I was also like, why is she so pretty? Is it because she's a witch? Because the other witch and her sisters were good looking.
I'm going to say that it's because. It's
gotta,
a Hollywood
gotta
movie.
get
Well,
this.
Nimue is
them
pretty
hot
in pretty much in every version of legend about Nimue. She's always beautiful.
But it was just like all the other monsters were ugly as hell.
Is she perfect?
And she was like, hello, I'm beautiful. So, when
she's another supreme being.
Because I went
and we're
home.
back.
I went home for a while after I watched it, and my parents were like, well, how was it? And I was like, would you believe Mila Jovovich did not get naked one time in this movie? And they were like, you're shitting
I kept
me.
waiting for
because
a
she
nip
gets
slip or
naked
something.
in every fucking
But
movie
she did
she's
have that
in.
really low cut thing where I was just
That's
like,
not naked.
okay, no. But I was like thinking something's gonna pop out for a second.
Did she get naked in Resident Evil?
Yeah, like all of them.
The first one?
Yeah.
Yes.
She has a naked scene in all of
she
them.
does when
To
they're
be
trying
fair,
trying to remember who they are.
I'm going to say yes to that, but I stopped at one because
think
I was like,
I
nope,
remember now.
I'm out. I'm out.
But I was just like, would you believe? And my parents were like,
Well, now she's got one or two kids.
no. She still looks good.
I know. Oh, I know.
Oh no.
She wanted her kids to be able to come and
You
see
gotta,
her.
you gotta,
There you
have
go.
to appreciate a woman who exercised so much when she was pregnant and had to see a doctor that would tell her what she should legally do to make sure that her baby stays okay. That's how much she exercised to keep fit.
Nathan has
while
done research
pregnant.
on this.
That's dangerous.
Yeah, very.
You're not
dangerous.
supposed to.
So I
lose weight
don't
while
support
pregnant.
her having a. But yeah,
No, Nathan the whole time was like, if anything, Mila Jovovich is in this movie, and that's all I really
like
care
separate
about.
the acting. Like if you,
and he's
the
not
acting
wrong.
was pretty good. Like you know, she was a She. I mean, her. Now, granted, her part wasn't really hard. You say 5 to 10 words. You wait a second. 5 to 10 words. You know, I'm going to take over the world. Done. Hellboy, sarcastic asshole. That's all we're going to do. How low can my voice get? But the people that like.
There's some inner conflict though.
Yeah.
And daddy
And she
issues.
had to do the whole, like, try and convince him to join her. I just murdered your dad, but for some reason, you'll join me.
Jesus.
I was like,
Okay. So this is in the original
Disconnect.
Spider-Man movie too. That it's a problem that in all superhero movies, there's that moment that one of the villains in one of the many sequels or whatever reboots, whatever, they go, "What if we just join forces?" And they're doing that
Done.
scene. Done. Oh, thank you.
I'm easily convinced.
But no, there's a scene like it's almost like literally the first thing that popped in my head is like, "Join me, Spider-Man." I was just like, and that to me is the epitome of the worst way to do a comic book, like whatever. And it was kind
What?
of
I'm going to kill your dad? Join me!
well, right. It's like misery, misery, misery.
Although I
That's
did
what all
like
you
her,
brought upon
how
yourself.
she just, like,
You
flips his
didn't
neck.
do your paperwork.
She just, like, floop, and his jugular's cut, and she's like,
Oh.
oops.
Oh, what the? They haven't
Fling.
really showed her fingers like that. Really, the whole movie.
Well, her fingers were normal. They were just like, magic.
It must have been a spell.
I killed you.
Well,
Mercy kill.
Apparently, slowly.
Right? It was a
Because
mercy
even
killing.
though you have like this big gaping opening, which he should be dead in seconds, he survived a long time because what's her name? Alice can only continue like if the spirit's alive. Because the woman that could foresee her spirit was still alive, and that's how the worm came out. And worm spirit woman could
Our
tell
spirits are
what
alive for
happened.
eternity.
So the dad,
Yeah,
like
that's
5
what it
minutes
seems
after
like.
he slit, is still alive, even though that can't really happen. And then his spirit was still good. And then Mila, who's right there,
Well, if they're hanging
could
around,
just be
maybe.
like,
Well, her
girl, you need to
parents-
die because I need him to join
Also,
me.
he knows that Alice has those powers.
I think the
too,
spirits
so-
can last as long as they want because
can
her
hang
parents were
around.
still there.
Yeah.
And how long
Urns.
have they been dead?
Yes. Well, no, that's just
We need to-
that doesn't necessarily mean
No, to
that
come
they-
out of her mouth. Not that can she feel them? Can they can only come out of her mouth when their spirit
That
is.
is weird.
Well,
and
the
creepy,
spirits
too.
must be able to stick around for a period of time, even though their body is dead. They must she
Yeah.
probably sensed that the seer's spirit was still hanging around, so that's why she gave up use of her body for the communication to be happening.
Well, no.
Yeah,
I feel
that looks
silly.
like her intestines were coming straight out her body, and there was a parasite
Gastiowski's
attached
Is
to
there like a
them.
Gas-
place,
Gastiowski's.
is there like a place on the driver's license where you can donate your body to spiritual possession?
Yeah, I was just like, ooh, look at that.
I think it's. I think it's S.
Yes.
I liked the first time she did. She's like,
You might want-
guy, you might want to step out because this is
This-
gross.
And
He's
it
like,
was.
Murph, I'll watch. Murph.
So
I'm a caterpillar.
my so in context, the scenes, not in context, the way it was presented, the scenes were okay, but some of how it was edited was also frustrating because I felt like it could have been more exciting than it was.
I don't know how you can
And-
electrocute somebody in water when you're in water.
I was thinking
Yeah.
that too. Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
And they didn't make any attempt to have real maybe I don't remember all the spears, but I do remember the metal ones. And I'm just like, well, that's a conductor, and his arm is made of rock, and that's also a fucking conductor. It's just one big conductor.
Science.
Why aren't these? And then they're like, let's crank it up. And I'm like, well, surely help. Because when you also have that much built up energy, when you're it can shoot out. And I'm like, well, if all this is all circling, it's not shooting out anywhere. It's not. It was just amazing how they had the technology to be in the water with him and not retain anything. But again, I just sat there being professional, okay.
I was making fun of them for their dumb headdresses and shit. I was like, fucking what? They're like, we must go on the hunt. And I was like, but you look ridiculous.
The hunt is the most important thing.
Tradition.
Okay.
Tradition. How'd they have a picture from the Crusade?
Ride, Doge.
Now I have
Ride.
similar stuff in my life.
I will wear the headdress. And I was like, you look
Yeah, I ain't gonna
stupid.
fucking wear that, do I? Oh no!
No, I will.
shall wear it.
Am I the only one that didn't
would
know
be
that
my
they were going
honor.
to kill, they were out to kill Hellboy?
No,
really
I
thought
didn't
they did.
know.
I didn't know.
I thought they were
Okay,
going to
when you
kill
read the
giants.
comics, I'm sure you knew, but I'm just sitting there like, oh, okay.
And they're like, good place for an ambush.
didn't
you
I
know?
agree.
I agree.
Oh,
I didn't want to spoil
Well,
it for
I-
you after the fact.
No, I
agree.
no, I thought that too. I was like, well, that's a weird thing to say, and then it just went. I was like, oh,
Plot twist.
But yeah, what a twist! But
I
then
just didn't understand why they put him in such an open area. They know he can fight, but it's like, well, instead of putting him in a closed area, here's a little bridge. Certainly, he won't know to go underneath
Maybe
it or
because-
jump because,
Trolls.
science.
I thought there would be trolls
maybe
under
they-
the bridge.
Because maybe they figured they would need to incapacitate him in the water
But-
because he is strong. Because he was taking a lot of hits
Yeah.
so they must have figured they would need a body of water to
And I didn't know much
incapacitate him.
about the rejuvenation part.
well,
I think
yeah.
they obviously focused a lot more on that in the reboot that I don't remember
Well, also,
it from.
Hellboy didn't take too many hits until the end of the movie, usually anyway, in the last
Yeah.
one or in the original too. So it makes sense why you would say that.
Another thing.
Yes.
How did the second troll die? Not the first one with the log through its head. Not the third one with the spear vertically down its head. How did the
the
second
second
They
one
didn't show
die?
it.
Yeah.
I didn't see it happen.
I thought one of them
He
got the thing through his head.
That's the first
yeah,
one,
that
the
was
tree.
the first one.
I thought he killed one immediately.
The first one didn't kill immediately. He ripped the tree
Well,
out,
because-
I
and
thought
the
the other
first
one
one
killed
tripped.
the other one.
Wait, did the first
Because
maybe the
one
first
died
had with the
before he
eye.
did the thing.
He
Because
did-
then he's like, oh, now it's
No, that was
just
the
you and
first
me
one.
at the end.
He put one right through the eye of one in the very beginning, so maybe that blow killed him. Because I guess if it went through
Yeah,
the
that's the
eye, it would
first
go to
one.
the brain. And then he
The
had
first one
another
had
tree.
the first one. He threw the spear, and the eye ripped out, and then he ripped a log out in the first one, and then the other two came at him in tandem, and that's where he found the spear, and he's wheeling it around, and the second one just he just fall. It's like the pencil when the Batman Joker movie, where it's like you blink and you miss it. Remember where he's like magic trick. And then if you blinked, you missed it.
Yeah.
That's what I think happened with the second troll because all of a sudden it just falls. But I'm like, tripped.
I think he.
But then they just focused
around the giant. What he was doing something.
It
with
could
the
have tripped,
giant,
and then.
wheeled
But that's
around
when he
and
stabs
cut
the
him
third
off.
one. But then he just
Killed
walks
him.
off like everything's fine. So I don't know if the second one went into a coma.
There's fainting goats. Surely there's fainting trolls. I don't know.
I felt like they did show the second.
I'm sure
one.
I just don't know how the second one.
I feel like it did die. But here's the thing. But that's what I'm saying. The movie was so exciting that I paid it. But I will say that scene though was actually rather intense and was actually one of the best edited action sequences in the movie because like I was just like it actually scared me once or twice when like because it's showing him in frame and all of a sudden a knife comes down and it was like Jesus, I have no perspective of what's going on.
Yeah, because it was real close on Hellboy. So you're like, isn't another one gonna come?
Which is cool. So
all that adrenaline and he just passes out. And conveniently, a Mercedes van pulled up. Oh, I found you.
Well, it's also the Alice lady
I know.
who is okay. I just want
Lady. She looked.
lady.
I had to look up her age. She's like 23. She looks 16.
Yeah.
She does.
And I was like, I guess this is fitting because I think he's supposed to be like an older teenager, maybe. And I think that's supposed to be his girlfriend, right?
That they didn't
so,
really
yeah.
do well in this movie.
Well, I kept thinking she was going to be Liz. I'm like, oh, so this is the Liz version.
Yeah.
No, Alice is actually like Irish in the comics or something, if I'm remembering correctly.
Well,
so they
she's
just
British
they went
in
a
this.
whole
I'm
new.
gonna say yes to whatever you're saying.
They went a
Yeah,
whole new
she-
African American British,
I liked him.
not American.
Any
African.
scene with him and Ian McShane,
Too late.
I
They'll
really
hate you.
liked because he
There
does
goes
sound
my
like a
career.
teenager. And he's just like, "You're not my real dad." He like slams the door.
Wait. Harbor or
Yeah.
Perlman? Because
Harbor.
I thought Perlman. I think did I tell you this last night too? I thought I did.
But yeah, they cracked me up. And like Ian McShane's not phased by anything he does. He's just like, are you just going to crash through things all day or are you going to get up and do something? I was
Meanwhile,
like cracking me up over here.
speaking of Ian McShane, I would love for him to read me a bedtime story.
He's one of those guys in the
Once
top 10
upon a
of
time.
top 10 of people that would like. It's like Patrick Stewart, Ian McKellen, Samuel L. Jackson.
Did your movie have the preview for the Joker?
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that movie probably hiding my face most of it. I get really bad secondhand embarrassment when I watch movies, and that movie looks like secondhand embarrassment all up and
Wait,
down.
wait. Why? What?
It looks so uncomfortable.
Oh, I see.
Really?
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Well, anyway,
But it's like
Hellboy.
watching.
Yeah, so another thing that came up, my parents know that I really like Ron Perlman. And so they were like, so how was it without, so story time, let me back up.
Take us on an adventure.
When I was young,
She got really close to the mic. This is getting intimate.
yeah, when I was young, Ron Perlman looks like a gorilla. And so when I was younger, I would call him Monkey Man. Gorillas are not monkeys, spoiler, but when you're young, you don't know.
It's like when you look at a boar and call it a pig.
Full circle.
So I was like, so I always called him Monkey Man. I'm sorry, Ron Perlman, I love you. But so my parents will call him that.
If we even get sued, what like an honor. He found us to sue us.
Actually,
Way
Ron
to
Perlman
go,
would
Jess.
probably just be like, "Man, that's fucking right."
He's amazing. He knows he's great.
Yeah.
But so my parents
get
still call him
$10.
that, and so do I, because that's what I called him when I was younger. So they're like, oh, but Monkey Man wasn't in it. How was it? And I was like, not as good.
it wasn't.
Not as good. And they were like, that's what I thought.
So let's kind of talk about that elephant in the room for a second in terms of the originals, because like I was telling Nathan last night, like there's
You tried too hard, it seemed.
Yeah, it felt like it was trying way too hard in some scenes. In other scenes, they nailed it. Like when he's walking by and they're putting his friend that the bat vampire guy he killed, and was it Tijuana? He's putting his name
Luis
up on the thing,
Escobarria.
and he's like looking at it. Like that was like, oh, that's kind of powerful and whatever. And but they didn't have. And I think Del Toro realized this, is that you need someone to quickly show you the world around you and not have like, because I hate it when a character, and this is a me thing, but like, and sometimes you have to do it, but that's because that's the choice you've made to present it that way, is that they're doing exposition on how the world works and who Hellboy is, and he's just like, how about we just not tell me shit that I already know, and let's just go into the fucking room. And I was just like, no shit. Like, this is just, there's so much better ways to do exposition than how they did it. But the original Hellboy they used, was it Agent Myers or something like that? And just set up like, well, that's Hellboy, don't do this and don't do that. This is Liz, this is Abe Sapien, this is how the BRPD works. Well, kind
Well,
of.
yeah, I
at
saw
the
that.
end. And
What
it
does
even
this mean?
boom.
Fish hand.
Fish hand.
What's the movie? Titanic. It's all I could go to. I just saw the rose. Rose on the window.
I'm sorry too. Like the Abe Sapien from the Del Toro movies looked exactly like the comic book to me. Like it looked really good, and like just the hand alone. When I looked at that, I was just
blue.
like, he's not blue, and it just really, unless that's the parent, because
Well, we don't even know if there's going to be a second.
actually, yeah,
They could have done
they
that
only
all
did
for
$13
nothing.
million opening weekend,
Oh, really?
and Shazam did I think about 23 million opening weekend, but it kept like its numbers kept kind of improving for like a normal slump after the movie premiered.
Shazam was awesome.
Hellboy, though, it's just... so it's like, cool, they're setting up things they'll never do.
I hate when that happens.
I've been watching so much DC that when they showed Ecto Sapien, I was like, Aquaman? I was like, no, this is Dark Horse.
This is Dark Horse. It was... Oh, man. I did say this to Nathan, too. I was like, if Ron Perlman couldn't have done it, I would have been super happy if they would have just cast Harbor and just recast... Not, you know what I mean? Not disrespectfully, of course, but like... Because he's like, what, in his 80s now? Perlman is? He's 70s or 80s. It's hard for him to do the Hellboy stuff. And in fact, that's why he says, like, if they ask me now, even if...
Only there were a device.
I know. I was trying... I am always the one who makes that joke, and I was trying to not make it this time. So,
You're welcome.
Good job.
Yes.
There was a reason why we had you on, and that's the reason why.
He is
He was born
69.
in 1950.
69.
Hey.
But like, still, he's just like, if you would have asked me like a year ago, would I do it? I would say maybe, yeah, but we gotta start shooting now because I'm getting too old for this.
Yeah.
Like, I can't handle the makeup and stuff.
Indiana Jones.
The last time that Ron Perlman dressed
I'm okay
up...
with that. That's Harrison Ford. He doesn't give fucks. Like Ron Perlman, I think at some point goes, yeah, I'll talk shit to you, but I like to take care of myself. Harrison Ford's like, I'm gonna fly the fucking plane. Let's go golfing.
It wasn't too long ago that Ron Perlman actually sat through the whole 4 or 5 hour makeup job so that he could hang out with a Make-A-Wish kid.
Yes,
Because it was his favorite. That was that kid's favorite.
yeah, and that's
comic
what
book
actually
character.
started the whole thing about him on Twitter trying to get he was trying to. So how Deadpool happened was someone released footage of the Deadpool special effects reel they did.
I thought
to pitch it to
Ryan
the CEO.
Reynolds admitted that it was him.
Well, no, he did the. He's like, no, it wasn't me, but it really helped, didn't it? So
Wow.
I guess it was me.
It wasn't me.
But yeah, but he was. It's totally, no, right. It's totally one of those. But and so yeah, he's like, I didn't for legal reasons, but yeah, it was me. But
Who
it's
could
just-
have done such a
So
thing?
Perlman, I think, saw that and was just like, and Deadpool was successful. He's like, let's get fucking Hellboy 3 made. And so he started the same thing. Del Toro on Twitter was like, I'm still totally interested. Let's do this. And then it kept building and building. And then Mike Mignola said, there's no way. And then Del Toro had to release his statement. He's like, we're really sorry it's not happening. Because Mike Mignola would like to go a different direction.
Now for something you really enjoy.
Yeah.
Psych.
Yeah, look at the thing over here. The big old, not what the first two were. Which was super entertaining.
Well, and
It's not that
especially Baba Yaga looked like a Del Toro monster.
Yes, it did.
So
which-
I appreciated that.
Look at you taking the high ground on that one.
Baba Yaga was my favorite part.
No,
so.
Baba Yaga was awesome. But yeah, Del Toro's original ones, it goes to show you how important it is not just directing, but even the editing is, because the editing on this movie was all over the place pacing wise. Now, it wasn't like Dumbo bad, where it's just one shot of. This is the thing
Keaton.
Yeah, Michael Keaton. Just there's a shot of him at a
Could
control
Johnny
board.
Depp just say no more, and then they're like, "We're getting this guy."
No, honestly, I think it literally was. It's like, here's what I think. I think Tim Burton probably was like, I don't think Michael Keaton wants to work with me again because of Batman.
Did they not do?
And well, they were okay, but he was pretty much just like, I don't want anything to do with Batman. For the longest time, he didn't want to do it. Then Birdman came out where he kind of embraced it, and now he's just like, I'm fucking Batman, and it's like, yay, Batman. Anyway. So there's a shot in Dumbo, which it really... no, we have to go back to it because I didn't finish it. There's a shot in Dumbo where Michael Keaton is being... Michael Keaton is he's overdoing it, and at no point does Tim Burton as director go, let's just reel that back a little bit. He just lets him go full Keaton, and that's almost too much for us to handle. But then the editor also didn't cut away. So it's literally him just smashing buttons and shit blowing up, and he looks fucking incensed and insane, and it's not entertaining in the least. It's not like it's supposed to be, which is like, ooh, he's terrifying because he's the bad guy. It's like, no, he looks crazy, and this is 10 seconds too long.
Are they following the cartoon?
No.
Yes,
yes.
don't you remember that part?
The Dumbo
That's what I'm
can
sitting
fly.
here like.
That's all. That's really the thing
Does
to
it
take
even
away.
have big ears?
Yes,
Is
yes,
baby
big
mine
ears.
in there?
Yes,
What did they do about
that's
the crows?
one song that they sing.
I'm curious.
What about
they
Elephants
did.
on
They
Parade?
did.
Did they do Elephants on Parade?
They
or-
have the music,
yeah.
and they have pink elephants, but they don't sing the song.
Sorry.
Okay.
So it's just the music.
It's yeah.
What about the overly racist crows?
They are not
That's what I
there.
just
Yeah,
said.
they're not. They're like I think there's crows flying around, but I think at the end, but they're not there. It's like the stork.
No.
There's a stork that's hanging on the stork is like a huge part when I rewatched it. Anyway,
I didn't see a mouse in the preview. Is the
There,
mouse?
Timothy is there. He does not speak.
yeah, he's there for like
But that's
what,
the reason why
5
everything
minutes in the whole
happened.
movie.
This is the realistic version of Dumbo.
Sort of.
But with
Says Disney as they released the CGI version, a live action version of The Lion King, where everyone fucking talks.
I refuse to see anymore. I walked out of
I
Beauty.
can't. I won't.
walked-
I won't see Aladdin.
I walked out of Beauty and the Beast, so I won't see any more of them. I can't
see them
handle
all.
it. It's
No, the Lion. I will. The
One
Lion,
day, my people will rise.
I can't complain
will-
if I haven't seen them.
I just envision just by the tree. Oh yes,
yes.
it will happen.
It's like-
I
They
might
will
get
come.
a Jungle Book. I'm hoping. Because I liked the live
Get a
action
Jungle
Jungle
Book?
Book.
The
I
live
liked
action-
the
Oh,
remake of Jungle
no.
Oh,
Book.
I haven't seen it.
It is good.
I
Oh, is that
actually
the one
really
with like
liked
the
it.
50-foot tall orangutan?
Yes. It's Christopher Walken.
That part
Yeah.
is actually the weakest part of the movie in comparison. If that's all you've seen,
No, I've
But,
seen
like,
them.
the rest
I've
of the movie's
seen.
good.
I've seen most of it. I didn't think it was bad. I would now pick it over some of the stuff that's coming out in a heartbeat.
Well, so here's the other thing too, and I think I said this during Dumbo, is that if you watch the original Jungle Book and try to put like is this a coherent story? It's not. It's just a bunch of weird vignettes with Mowgli and the different animals. Like
Who's
they're-
Mowgli?
Mowgli, whatever. And that's it. But the new one actually has a very complete story. Like Shere Khan shows up at the beginning of the movie, and it's like he's like a looming threat throughout the whole thing. Unlike the original, where he shows up in the last 15 minutes and is like, "Oh, I'm hungry for a man cub." Okay,
Man cubs.
Man cub. Oh, and he does the weird head bobble thing, which is a weird animator tick.
They
But so
always
yeah,
do
the
this
movie's
somehow.
actually is like that needed to be remade, and it's good. So,
Yeah,
but
I liked it.
but the way the
So
Lion King
one of
trailer
them
looks
might
like, it
also
looks
be that good.
exactly- I think the Lion King is going to be almost a shot-for-shot remake, and at that point, I'm just like, sure. Here's the thing. I'm also going to watch all these because we're going to talk about it on the podcast. But the Lion King
Yeah.
one, I'm actually looking forward to. The Aladdin one,
Can't.
I think we talked about this last time too. The guy who plays Jafar looks way hotter than he should be, and I feel like the role should be reversed.
His voice is too high.
Well,
It bothers me.
I just remember that was the thing on Twitter. It's like, have you seen Jafar? He's super hot. Have you
seen
seen
Jafar?
Aladdin? he looks not hot at all. And I was
Did
like,
they keep the all good girls take their clothes off?
that's not in there. That has never been in there.
Want to bet?
I want to. Yes, I will bet
Okay.
you.
Just like the penises in Little Mermaid.
It's not.
It's not.
No. Now on the covers, it is. On the cover of the
Oh.
of the thing.
That
It's not-
erection is in there.
It's not.
That's
in
his
there.
pants.
It's his pants.
How convenient that it looks like a wiener wiggling.
Just like in the Lion
Whose
King, it
pants-
doesn't say
whose
sex. It
pants
says
move like that?
SFX because it's a special effects that's moving on the screen. It was their way, the director's way of having them go. Yes, a shout out to our SFX team.
a gust of air went up at the time that the picture was taken.
But do you know what is in there? The picture of the naked people and the rescuers.
Oh no, that is a thing that happened. And I remember, okay, so I found it by pure accident when I was a little, like I was watching it on Disney Channel, and I paused it for something to go upstairs and get like pizza or something. And when I came back down, there was like naked woman or whatever.
in like one of the windows.
in one of
I
the frames.
missed something.
It's like an actual photograph, not
Yeah.
animated.
Yeah,
it's
they
an
just
actual photograph
slid it
in there.
Just like they also animated Jessica Rabbit's cooch in one scene when she gets thrown from Benny the cab. Her and Eddie get thrown, but then like
She ain't got undies on?
she ain't got undies on. She's a
Carpet
free
ma-
roamer.
Well, I gotta.
carpet match the drapes.
Well, I gotta be honest. My rabbits
Think
don't wear
so.
underwear either. So.
Well, she's a person.
Oh yeah, you have two cute little rabbits.
Oh, you met them. That's
That's
right.
right. Oh, wow. Thanks.
I don't have
I'm
a
glad I made an
VHS
impression.
anymore of Roger Rabbit to go frame by frame.
Oh my god.
I used to love
love
that
Roger.
movie though.
You don't like it now?
Well, I don't own it anymore.
More mature.
Oh,
I watched it a lot when I was younger.
that movie is fucking great.
Let's make
Yes,
that one
it
into a
is.
real movie like they're doing. Let's make Roger Rabbit real.
I would. Technically, they already did.
No, it's never remake Roger Rabbit. It's beautiful and perfect.
Oh, I would just like them to do a sequel of some sort, like not an actual story sequel, but just show the
Where they
characters and like I just love the interaction
There's
of
the
what
baby
was
all
going on
grown
was so
up.
good. Oh, the baby can't grow up. He's
Oh
a
my
teen.
gosh, the baby.
He's a 40-year-old, 30-year-old, and a 2-year-old diaper or something like that, or 1-year-old.
Hey,
diaper.
toots.
How you doing, Toots?
So Del Toro's Hellboy.
Indeed.
What about the music? Did you like the music? I thought the music in this was more... Like, I felt more into the movie because of the music in this than I did in any of the first two. I will give it that. I loved the music. I loved the...
I like the music.
I thought the keys were great. I liked the instrumentation. I like how going from like an orchestral to more of a rock. I really enjoyed that. If I said to see it for anything, honestly, it would be for the scoring of the film, which is, most people want to go to see the movie. I would disagree. Like the movie, like I thought the music flowed.
If I didn't have the first one in my head, like I remember the opening theme to the first Hellboy.
No, it's not that
which
it's
is
bad. I'm just saying, like, this is
dun,
kind of
dun,
like I like the music of Iron Man 3. Iron Man 3, the music is so much better than the first two.
Yeah, that's like
That's Iron Man 3.
whatever.
So at
I
some
have
point,
a girlfriend, and she is so blue.
Yeah. What was it? When he got to Baba Yaga, is that when it was? He was somewhere in the woods, and there was an instrumental version of a rock song playing, but it didn't play long enough for me to figure out what it was.
I hate that.
I was like, this is an actual song. This is not.
Was it Smoke in the Water, probably? Because
It
that was
could
in the
have been.
trailer. I just remember I thought that was such a cool instrumentation.
Maybe that's what it was then.
I don't know. I'm
Because
just
I just remember like hearing a song and I was like, this is something, but I can't. It didn't go on long enough for me to be like, that's what it is.
Yeah. I will say if I didn't have the first two in my head, especially the first one, like
Well, I
the
just
opening
thought like
credit
some
theme
of it
But it
was
sounded
just
good.
So you're hearing like
I didn't sit there and say the music was horrible or it wasn't good or bad. It was just there and it enriched the scenes like it should be. But again, I also am not always listening to that like you are. So
I needed something to help. And so, like listening to like how certain things like bum 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 bum, goof bum 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 bum, goof. Like just some of this, I just liked how some of it was really cheesy, like some of the fire scenes when they're flying, then they're playing some cheesy rock. But I thought it went really well. Like some of the cheesy rock went with the cheesy lines that were happening. So I figured if I could give the film any continuity, it would be I liked the music aspect.
yeah, I'll go with that.
I did like the music. I liked
Thank you.
the.
Thank you for your-
I liked the
thank you for your
soundtrack.
blessing.
I liked the rock songs as well. What I did not like was Merlin.
Oh, by the way, that was Brian Gleason.
Yeah, it was.
Who is that?
Mad Eye Moody from Harry Potter.
The guy with the moving eye.
Yeah,
Nailed it.
because his son is not
that his
Brian
name?
Gleason. His son is
Dommel.
Donald Gleason.
Yes. Wait.
Kind of heavier set guy with the
Yes,
blondest, dirty blonde hair.
I get them mixed up.
Anyway, I didn't like Merlin.
Yeah.
There we go.
Because he's just like, rah, rah. You are, like, he was really just, like, there to explain stuff that I felt should have been explained already. He's like, and you
I
are
didn't understand his death.
authors.
Like, my magic is now
Just
over.
said-
I shall
Yeah,
go.
I was like, I thought they just said you were there for all eternity or some shit. And he's like, I used the last of my magic. Damn it.
I laughed out loud on that scene, and I don't know why. I just
Because it was
I
bad.
used the
That's
last
why.
of my magic
To bring it here. And all I could think was, a watery toad handing out swords is no basis for a system of government.
Put your hand on my sword.
Also,
And it was
the
like,
little moth flew out, and I was like, oh, well, at least he's
and it
reborn.
got
And it
eaten
got
by a
eaten
fucking bird.
ate.
I
Yeah.
cracked up.
But the thing is, they didn't go into like, is that him reborn into something else? Because it's
a
Merlin, and then he gets eaten by the bird. I was like, well,
And then he died.
We assume he died.
And he's like, it's going back to Arthur.
How dare you? Oh, just kidding. I won't be here to see it.
That's how much of a coincidence it was, where she just picked him up and threw him in. He's like, it's like everybody always wonders where it's like right here the whole time. I was like, what a fucking coincidence.
Yeah, and we were like, is that a church? Too soon.
Oh,
Oh, I cried
Yeah.
Oh my god, I cried.
So we recorded the day we're recording this was yesterday when Nathan and I saw the movie. They literally did they did. They did it. The
Notre Dame.
Notre Dame.
I watched the spire fall on the live thing.
That was
I-
heart wrenching. And that relates to Hellboy.
Because
fire.
she drops him right on Arthur, and I was like, damn, that's the burial Arthur got?
It's kind of dope.
I know, he gets a throne.
He's just there like... And the second one of his descendants touches it, he bursts into flame. I was like, is that because it's Hellboy?
It just he hasn't been touched in a while.
Right?
I sometimes
So
wonder...
he grabbed Excalibur.
Have you ever heard the story of John Peters and how he like ruined Batman and Superman and all that stuff? Or
No.
it's from Kevin Smith. I'm not going to regale all of it, but it's really funny because I'll regale a little bit of it. When Kevin Smith was
Comes to regaling.
You're twisting
You're
my
gonna-
arm.
We're going to regale the fuck out of
We're
this.
going to regale the fuck out of this. John Peters was formerly Barbara
Regaled in my
Streisand's
pants.
hairdresser. And he
Oh my god, the
failed
guy who made
upwards. into Hollywood.
Stars Born, which is not good.
The new one?
The Barbara Streisand version.
Oh, yeah. I think he did.
It's
produce
not
that.
good.
He produced he produced Batman, and I'm surprised that somehow Batman turned out really well with considering he produced it because that was his baby, and so now he's like, I'm going to do Superman, and so Kevin Smith, huge comic book nerd, and he goes, they're on the planet of Krypton and Kal-El, and he goes, stop, what the fuck's Krypton? He's just like, it's the planet that Superman's from. All right, continue. All right. Wait, who's Kal-El? Superman? Don't fucking call him that. That's weird and gay. No one likes that. Don't call him that.
That's weird and gay.
No, this was also said in 1998, and John Peters is John Peters. So he keeps telling him, he's just like, there needs to be an action beat, which is true in movies. There needs to be an action beat every 10 pages of the script. So 1 page equals 1 minute in a script. And so he goes, but Superman's dead right now. What is he going to fight? I don't know, maybe have someone fight a polar bear. You know, polar bears are the deadliest animal in the animal kingdom. And he's just like, okay, sure.
Are they?
And no, they're not. But then he kept talking about a spider, and he's like,
Panda.
call a spider. You know, spiders are the deadliest insects in the animal kingdom. And he's just like, sure, man.
Have you heard of the flattening spider? There's this spider that flattens its body and contorts and camouflages into anything it can.
Yes, I have. That's
And
actually pretty cool.
that is living among us.
I thought you were going somewhere,
No.
and this is how it kills.
But it's real. It's like, hey tree, I'm walking around. I'm gonna flatten my body, contort, and whenever walks by, I'm just.
Like Baba Yaga.
Oh my god.
So
well,
Sorry, I just thought that was the
Yeah.
coolest thing.
There were
You're
spiders
getting
that
off topic.
no, but it was no. But
We're
there,
trying to be
well,
professional.
there were
Keep
spiders
going.
that were like catching winds off the
Dabba
string.
Frabba brand. You
Well, they-
got
Oh,
it.
in Australia,
Yeah, they were
there's like a
deadly
whole-
spiders that were
Oh,
catching
that's
the roaring
fucking-
40s up and going over to New Zealand, which has no deadly anything. And there were just deadly spiders flying into New
Speeches.
Zealand. And so people were
Like,
joking
burn
around
the
going,
country.
yeah, they were like, time to die.
Burn it down.
Set the whole country on fire.
Meanwhile, you just show the picture, the meme of the
country's
dog
on
from Casey
fire.
Green. It's like, this is fine, everything's fine. I'm fine with the events that are unfolding.
Whoever did Notre Dame, we got to get him to set fire.
Except the Hobbit holes, burn everything.
To burn everything up. Well, so the moral of his story that eventually goes, and he goes into way more detail, and I'm not doing it any justice, is that he goes, so obviously I didn't do the movie because John Peters is, and then Tim Burton came on, and that became its own situation. So cut to years later, and I'm watching this real fucking piece of shit movie with my wife, Jen, and when it's done, I look at the credits, and John Peters' name is there, and I was just like, oh my god, he finally got his big fucking spider. And it was the Wild Wild West, which is a horrible fucking movie. But like, if
Wild
you watch that
Wild
movie,
West,
it feels
and I'm
like
going to
there's
the
no
Wild
real
Wild West.
reason for things that happen in that movie, and that's
Kenneth Branagh's in it.
which is funny because he's good in everything, and even in that movie he's good. But you're just like, oh, but you're a bad good. How is that possible? How can
Hello, boy.
Kevin Kline
I'm
is
here.
is a bad good? Like, how do you make two good actors like that just so bad? Anyway,
Well,
so
he makes
Well, Hellboy.
yeah. Yeah.
Like
But
the
no, so-
acting separate was really good, and then you said like they all hated each other. I'm like, oh, okay.
Oh yeah, that was the thing that came out Sunday was that there were reports that are now coming out that the director hated David Harbour. David Harbour hated the producers and the director. The producers halfway through shooting started locking the director out of the editing room, and I'm like, well, that fucking makes some sense because the editing is pretty bad. Actually, I knew the editing was really bad when they did like this weird cut to the theme of Hellboy, the opening title of Hellboy, and it was already burning. And then at the end of the credits, when they showed it, I was like, it looked like they just cut that from the end credits and just put it at the front of the movie.
You know what I liked? His fire crown. That was cool
Again,
looking.
taking the high point. I appreciate that.
That was cool.
I liked how the positions of
what
his
did you think?
horns. If you watch like there are certain scenes where like here, and then then they kind of move, and then they kind of go again.
I
I didn't notice.
didn't notice.
I did notice when they were scraping him, they went like...
Yeah, it's Ian McShane's fault. He shaved him over.
that.
But then after that, they never really grew until the end when they like just grew, and then he ripped them
Because
off.
he touched Excalibur.
That's right.
But his horns didn't grow. Well, I guess he didn't pull it out of the rock. Whatever. Then he shoves it back down.
Why it's
I'm like,
important to pull out.
you just left Excalibur right there where everyone can find it.
I guess I'll die.
No,
now.
bit of Viper. You're talking about the first time. It's like, nope, it's going away.
Where it's like...
It was never there.
And he's like,
Well, okay, that's
ooh, I got a vision. And I like that vision.
that's at least that's a cool concept, not the vision part, but the cool concept that the Excalibur is hidden.
Yeah, and
like,
Merlin
it's
was basically
moving
like, bitch. And died.
See ya.
Couldn't even take the fucking sword. Bitch.
You
Last bit of magic.
You had one job.
you had one job.
And he's like in his little box. And I'm like, God,
Was
this
there
is my
anything on top of the dirt to show like where to randomly lift the rock, or was he just like, I have a feeling, and then just lift that rock up to see Merlin?
It's like
nightmare. I had
Ludo.
a feeling.
You know what I'm talking about? Like
Ludo sang it
they
forward.
pan out to make it look like they go on this wondrous
Merlin
journey
is
to find
Ludo.
this rock, and it's like 15 feet into the cave. It's
Ludo's
like,
better.
hello. Anyone?
Hashtag Ludo's
I'm
better.
good.
Yeah,
I'm
it was
with
kind
you.
of like, when Hoggle like opens the door and he's like, oh, wrong closet.
I think two completely.
Conversations
Yeah.
that are happening. Well, ladies, I'm glad you.
Oh.
No, I'm kidding. Okay.
We're having a connection. Shh.
No,
It was funny.
The
So
fuck?
when they
No,
were like
I'm kidding.
talking about prophecies and shit, every time it happens, I think of The Mummy. I thought of a lot of other movies while I was doing the one with Brendan Fraser. There's
The
a lot
first
of
one is
Brendan
actually
Fraser
really
movie
good.
references.
I
But
had the
they're
most
like, oh,
amazing
my
timing with a belch saying Emotep in a real silent moment when Emotep shows up and like there's people around watching to see what he's gonna do, and I just belched Emotep and it was perfect.
Yeah. Every
Yeah.
time it was like prophetic
I'll give you a high five.
prophetic points. I was like, Scaradoos! Scaradoos! It just kept going through my head. The
What
whole
is that
movie.
from?
The Mummy.
We just.
Oh,
You're thinking of.
It was
Kalima.
connected.
You're thinking of Kalima.
Kalima.
Not
But
my
when
mom.
when she's getting rid of the thing, she's like, Scaradoos! Scaradoos! I'm like, yeah, you
Scaramouche,
Scaramouche, will you do a fandango?
the noble
System of
thing.
Did you see the System of a Down wrote Bohemian Rhapsody?
If they wrote it,
Yeah.
I don't know where you're going.
Like,
Well, they didn't arrange
I
it.
think
Regardless, they
that's-
did an
So
arrangement.
here's
like,
what I
I
heard.
think
I
that
heard-
is
Did you hear that they
incorrect.
wrote? No. So here's what I heard. It's like, did you hear that they wrote Bohemian
I
Rhapsody?
realized
heard.
if they.
No, I didn't know.
Wrong.
That's why I looked at you funny. I was just
if
like,
they.
no, that was Queen.
No,
and then I asked you, I was like, do you mean if they did? And you're like,
Yeah, I said
yeah, if they.
Yeah, I
If
heard.
they.
Did you
Okay,
hear
we
they
are now
wrote it?
all on the same page. So no, I have
Okay.
not heard
Anyway,
if
it's
they had
interesting.
written that. Didn't System of the Down also do the one that was like the Sound of Silence, or was that
Yeah.
Stained? Or that was
That was
System of the
Disturbed.
That was
or
disturbed.
Disturbed.
It was really good.
Here's
is
what
a really
happened.
good
Their agent called their agent and was just like, fellas, let me tell you.
Hellboy.
Remakes.
We're gonna make some big money.
Remakes are where it's at.
All right,
Hellboy.
listen to me. Hellboy.
Hellboy. What? It's like, well, I mean, it's going to be a movie, but you should probably do what Disturbed did
We're
and
gonna
make
put
like
a
an
comma.
old song and like do it in your own.
We're going to put a comma between Hellboy. Hell.
What's the
Hyphenated.
Aqua Teen Hunger Force semicolon? Like they actually spelled out the word semicolon the movie or whatever, or something weird like that. Or movie in theater, and you know how it always says this summer in theaters, or whatever. That's actually also part of the title. And it looks really weird.
It's like, hear me out, guys. All right, the sequel, Hellman.
Hey,
Hell person. No, no.
Yeah, it's like, oh, we can't do that in today's society. It needs to be hell person. Okay? Actually, I see that would be Mike Judd's probably.
Actually, we can't say
We gotta let girls be the lords of the underworld, all right?
Yeah.
Well, we had what, Mila? We had Mila. She tried. She gave it her best one too, I
tried.
guess, and then killed his dad.
I don't find Mila to be one of the best or even decent actors out there, but I thought she did really good in this movie. That is a pro for me. I know. I'm sorry. To me, there is the sixth.
She's so good at combat.
What is it? The Fifth Element.
She is.
She's so good at combat.
No,
and I
she
wanted
is.
there to be a great fight scene in this. The
I
whole
wanted
time
her
I'm
to
sitting
fight.
there like,
Oh
man.
no, I will say that too. Like at the end, I wanted to see
hoping
him fight one of those big things, and that didn't happen. They just got crawled back into the hole.
Well, I wanted her to fight Hellboy because it's just like, I want you. No.
Fucking fine. By force.
Listen,
then.
bitch. I want you to join my... No. That's it, bro.
Listen,
And then
it's
he'd be
been
like,
yeah.
and he can say like, "Well, I'm not going to hit a girl," and she just takes her little thorn and goes,
No.
"Pew."
Oh, see, that's your
and he's
problem.
like,
is
"God!"
that
And then like she provokes him again, but none of that happened. I was waiting for all that, like in the beginning where he's like, "I'm not going to fight," and then I'm going to throw you onto a wrestling pole, and the
that
physics
was
of
an
that
accident.
made no sense.
That was an
Yeah, I could have done with a fight between them, but instead she just tried her wiles and got her head cut off.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh. I appreciated, though, that when they were sewing her on and stuff, she was gross. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, are they going to leave her gross for this?
Oh,
and then
will
she
say
got hot at
that
the
was
end,
a cool
but-
sequence where it shows like you just see the handle clipping the thing, and then the next time you cut to it, you see her and she has no arms, and then you cut to her and you see like it's disconnected, so it's just kind of flipping.
Yeah.
through the
Well, she
channels.
became hot again when she became vascularized.
Yeah, when she
So,
got her blood.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I just don't know
Vascular
why they didn't
little
set her
eyes.
on fire the first time.
But I was like,
no,
oh,
we're going to
look
put
at
her
that.
in 7 crates, but in the same country. It'll be fine.
Look,
Yeah.
people back
Like,
then.
why
To
didn't
the-
they just burn
The
her?
7 corners of Britain. I was like, that is not far. We're going to find
It's
this
like I'm
bitch
going
in
to
a
drive
hot
to
minute.
Indiana, and then
Take them up to Salisbury Hill.
Yeah, and you're hiding her in churches. How many fucking churches are there?
You'd be surprised. There's a lot.
I know.
No, I was gonna
But
say
yeah.
it's like Starbucks here is like the churches or cathedrals.
But even
there
Jafar
well, back
travels
then-
around
castles.
really far for
Castles.
2 beetle parts.
Well, back then they're just running around while someone clapped a coconut.
That's it.
Broken. Yeah, that's right.
Does Hellboy bleed?
Yeah.
Okay.
You
Well,
didn't
no.
see
I'm
the
just
blood?
wondering because like when the boar pig like rams him in the chest, like his tusk never has blood on it. I'm just like, oh,
The one time
Couldn't
they
afford
decided
it.
Well,
to not
fantasy
put
battle,
blood in
you
the
know.
movie.
Yeah, when they ripped that Vow of Silence dude's jaw off, me and my friend were like, is this rated R? Both turned to each other and we're like,
So
Wow.
So isn't it funny though that to me, in all honesty, and this is where it's bad for the comparison part, is that I felt like it was still more creepier in the Del Toro version because just how some of the things were.
Well, the creatures were better.
The creatures were better, but just the general vibe of just horror is just oozing everywhere. While here it just feels
good
like,
at that.
let me cut off someone's head and show you a bunch of blood spurt out, and that's how you know we're fucking metal and we're hardcore R.
Again,
The
Sam
knife- the
Raimi
knife
meets
legs creep
Legend.
the hell out of me. I'm just watching this monster walk down the street, and you're like, these people are just
So-
stuck. So I'm like, all right.
That actually did make me jump for a second, but it also reminded me of Kong Skull Island, where the dudes are sitting there. There's like a bamboo forest, and all of a sudden, this one soldier just gets run through by one of the bamboo poles, and you're like, "What? Did it get thrown?" And then they look up, and it's actually a gigantic spider, and its legs look like the bamboo poles, and it just starts like picking guys up and then starts eating them, and I'm like. Oh, and
Well-
it's gory as shit too for a PG-13 movie.
And
Like, it
then
should
it's
have been
just
R.
like,
was
and then
terrifying.
Hellboy
It was.
kills her and throws her head into the thing, and then like everything just goes back like nothing. I mean, even like Weird Science had a cooler reverse
Weird
back to normal than
Science.
this movie. It was just
Weird
like, oh, but 10 seconds earlier, this woman's in her car, and it's just like, door dead. This person dead. And that's also like, our bad.
I was like, why are you people out on the fucking street? The lady on the news told you to stay inside.
Yeah.
What are you doing pretending people weren't dying
I was
from
thinking,
a
like,
weird
they seem
plague?
awfully calm that the plague is loose.
And I kept waiting
Yeah.
for something to like go through the newsroom, and like
Me
almost,
too.
almost like when Drew does his arm things. I'm just
Yes.
waiting for like Knife Leg to have knife arms and
they
be like,
do that thing that I haven't seen someone do this in a long time.
or like the plague, just like eat her, just like
That's
come out.
what I
of her
thought
face.
was
Yeah.
going to happen.
Yeah.
I haven't seen it done
should
in a
happen.
long, probably in 10 years. I feel like, but they did the whole thing where they showed the map, and they showed in 24 hours it will explain to the EU and then the world. And I was just like, I think I also kind of groaned at that too. I was like, fuck, really?
They're going to take a plane? How are they going to cross the ocean?
And on that
Swim.
note,
Well, Nimue.
Monsters can't swim. They have knife blades, Jess.
Can they just walk on the bottom of the ocean?
That's pretty deep. We got to be realistic.
actually, couldn't they?
Oh wait, I get it because they don't breathe. Okay, I got you.
Picking up when I'm laying down.
Well, they go just straight down to hell, right? And then through the core and then straight out the other
See, it's
side.
a tunnel.
Yeah.
It's the Hell Tunnel.
It's a hell tunnel.
Copyright Hellboy. It's like,
They're going to travel by map.
Bob, I just want to let you know that we weren't really impressed with your work in London today, so we're going to transfer you to the
New York branch.
To the New York branch. You know what? The first thing that popped in my head though was because there is the connection from UK to France, and I realized that was bad because it's like they showed up in Paris and then fire. Ooh.
Yeah,
I went there. Sorry. So yeah, New York branch way better with that.
It wasn't just London.
yeah. Yeah. When they were in their like little headquarters, I was like, "Oh, this is like the Sanctum Sanctorum. Is this the same set?
Oh yeah.
All that wood."
Oh, and I don't
mahogany.
The Howl's Moving Castle thing was cool too.
Yeah.
Baba Yaga's house.
Yeah.
That's all I could think of was
Rooster leg.
Well, which is
I like
funny,
the leg
we're-
aspect. I kept thinking of an ostrich or something.
We're walking out, and they actually had at Marcus. They had a picture. They were doing
Cockerel,
like
I thought.
the Miyazaki film saga or whatever. And he's like, "Look, Howl's Moving Castle. Have you seen that?" I was like, "It's been years." He's like, "That was the house. That's reminding me of the house." I was like, "I got it. Thank you."
Make sure you get reminded.
an
I'm not saying
alternate
it was,
dimension.
but that's all I could think of.
Oh
Was
no,
like
I
Howl's
get
Moving
it.
Castle.
I get it. But like you kept saying, it's like, did you understand what I'm talking about? Yes, I understand. No, look, here it is on this photo.
Like it's moving.
Like it's moving.
Like this is
Like
happening.
the castle. I was like, yes, thank you.
Oh, that's so pure.
It's so pure.
It's so pure.
And then all those kids died. It's just natural.
They're just hanging up,
She's just
ready.
like they're playing outside and the house goes by and it's like,
Yeah, I was like, you
Fucking
banished
up.
her to another dimension. How's she getting kids?
yeah, that's what I didn't understand.
And I love how she's like, they're just human children. No one gives a fuck.
don't you say I have a bowl of their hands?
So now they
my
kind
eyes
of did this with Hellboy in the first two, but I thought it was more interesting in this one. It was kind of majorly the point in Golden Army, which is you care more of humankind than you do of our kind, and you're one of us. Like, but they hate you. Like, you should really do something about that. But it, of course, the message is still a little off the mark in this one. But again, it's not Golden Army, so there's that problem too. That's the problem. I keep comparing the movies, and that's bad because
So-
they're not alike. Womp womp.
Well, I compared because Liz, is that her name?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To get her powers to work in the one I was watching the other day, she's like, hit me. And the agent's like, what? Hit me harder. And they did that with the were-jaguar.
The werewolf.
He's like, wha-bam! And he's like, that's not hard enough to do anything. Boom!
Clothes are staying on. Clothes are staying on.
Transform!
But I did like that too. He's like, all right, come on, let's get in the game.
I was expecting a cool transformation. I was saying this to Nick. American Werewolf in London
Yes,
will still be the ultimate transformation because it looked like they started to kind of do it, like because they started with the hands in the original, and then they kind of went to the feet, and I'm like, oh, this kind of looks. Nope. Then there's just like back gone.
When it was happening, he's like, oh. Well, actually, he goes, no, because it wasn't before he fully started transforming. You're just
Well,
like, no,
I was like,
American Werewolf in London or Paris is better.
No, London was
the
first,
one,
and then they did a Paris a few
Yeah.
years later with that one guy.
But he was just like, American Werewolf in London, can't beat it. And then he started transforming more, and he
Which
started
I don't think they were
fingernails.
trying to, but I'm just like,
Ooh,
oh.
that looked painful when his fingernails popped off.
Oh,
I was like,
yeah.
ouch.
And by the way,
My
until
fingers
you
popped off?
until you
Yeah,
see
'cause
So they just
went like-
that's another thing that just naturally came back.
that's
Like, because the ones underneath came out, and it like it looked like
You think they were
something
made of
was
adamantium?
Yeah.
ripping them.
They were made of adamantium. They could
I don't think so. They look like regular now.
look at regular now. I think we saw the same movie.
like
In fact, I think he was vitamin A deficient when I was looking more close at them.
well, do we have any other thoughts on Hellboy?
Hell no.
That was
And on that note,
and on that note.
Get out of here without cheese! You're a creep! Go away! We're having a good time until you showed up, cheapers! Go have some coffee with cream or something, because I'll tell you something. This is a happy place.